Hello, good evening. What's good, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Movie Mass. It is I, your host, Brother Jay, the Bishop of Bull Moose, the Criterion choir boy, occasionally Sir Hong Kong Phooey himself. I like that Chinese shit, what can I say? Except beer, I prefer domestic. Thanks for clicking the buttons. It is that time of the month again, guys. It is the time of month where I cast aside my principles. I try to be a good Buddhist and not show off material things that I've purchased, but it is the time of the month when I cast that principle aside for those sweet, sweet clicks that really don't come anyway, so don't worry about it. I am going to show you people, what I got last month, the stuff that came in or I picked up in September. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I will say that I was not as good a Buddhist as I would have liked to have been in the month of September. I really thought I had the month of September nailed, but what do you know? I got bamboozled, I got swindled in the closing weeks of the month with some pretty good deals. Kino had a sale. I got some stuff pre-owned, gently pre-owned, carefully pre-owned, lovingly pre-owned from Bull Moose. Made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And so here it is. We're going to go in chronological order. Not that that matters either. First up, I have Pale Rider from Clint Eastwood. There was a trio of Clint Eastwood movies released on Steelbook a couple of months back. Dirty Harry, The Outlaw Josie Wales, and Pale Rider. And I had the other two. I did not have Pale Rider. So this one dropped in price, got really cheap. I snapped it up. Had to do it, you know. It's been a long time since I've seen this one, guys. Obviously, it's still in its wrapping. Hell yeah, looking forward to watching that in 4K. I'm trying to get into rewatching some Westerns. It's been many years where I have not really been into the Western thing. And recently with the 4K of The Searchers and the 4K of the Man with No Dollars trilogy, trying to get back into the Western genre. I recently got Once Upon a Time in the West. So I've got 4Ks of several of these Westerns that I'm looking forward to. I think the only one I've watched so far is The Searchers. So I need to pop the other ones in, refamiliarize myself. It ain't going to happen this month. This month is October. At this point, I'm recording this on the 2nd of October. I got no time for anything besides the spooky season watch list. So next up, also early in the month, I encountered The Conjuring 4K. At a Walmart, I encountered The Conjuring here. I did want to get the chunky box from the UK, like my boy Brian over there at the last movie Standing did. But then he told me it was like $70 after, I guess, tax, maybe shipping. And I thought, ooh, like I liked the first Conjuring. I didn't like the second Conjuring very much, and I haven't seen any of the others, but I liked the first Conjuring pretty well. I thought this was a pretty scary movie. My wife and I watched this in her parents' basement when it first came out to like home video. I had a Netflix disc subscription at the time. That's how long ago this was. They were still sending discs in the mail at Netflix, and we got a hold of this bad boy. I hadn't seen it in the theaters, and we watched it at like midnight in her parents' basement, and shit my pants. It was pretty effective little movie at that time of night when like the whole of Maine is just dead quiet. So The Conjuring's good. I got good memories. I think I paid like $27 for this versus 70 something. I do love like a chunky, like a girthy. I like a lot of girth in my hands. I like to wrap my hands around something girthy, but also I'm cheap, and $26 is good for me. This is not, Conjuring is a great movie, but it's not one of those films that I cherish, that I treasure. So, you know, it is what it is. Also, my birthday is in September. So I was gifted a few movies this month, which is fantastic, or this past month, last month, which is fantastic. About a month ago, I was gifted several films for my birthday. My wife got me The Sting on 4K. This is also a 4K Steelbook. There's some nice little, I'm trying to get the light to cast off the cover of this thing, so you kind of see some of that. It's a very matte Steelbook, except for some of that image there is a little glossy. So very tasteful. This is very, very classy, you guys. This is like white glove shit right here. Very classy. As you guys may know, I may have mentioned in previous videos that this was the last film that my grandfather ever went to see in the theaters in 1973. Of course, he lived until 2024, but he quit going to see movies in 1973 in the theaters. I think he still watched some films at home, but The Sting, there's the backside of the Steelbook. The Sting, there's some tasteful, as you can see, there's some very tasteful gloss on the back there. Again, very, very, very nice. But yeah, he retired off that movie, so he would always brag about how The Sting was the last film he ever saw in the theaters. So good on him. Starman was another film that was gifted to me by my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law. They heeded my wife's words. I told my wife, tell everybody I just want movies. Don't get me no socks. Don't get me no nothing. So Starman I got. I recently, I think maybe sometime in 2023, I believe it was 2023. It's been about 2 years. I watched Starman streaming. I think maybe on Hulu. I saw it streaming. I was in Florida visiting my aunt. I watched Starman while I was down there one night. Everybody had fallen asleep, and you know me, I'm a night owl. I like to be up. The nighttime is the right time. That's the third rule of shit happens when you party naked. The nighttime is the right time. That's why I record all of my YouTube videos that you're seeing here late at night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hour. Also, I feel pretty guilty drinking beers at 9 a.m., so I can't record these things at 9 a.m. Otherwise, I'd have to have like a Bloody Mary or something. Anyway, also for my birthday, my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law, gifted me with the Amazon exclusive Lionsgate Limited of The Forbidden Kingdom. And I gotta be honest with you, I've never seen this movie before in my life. It's got Jackie Chan and Jet Li. This was like a wet dream for me in 1997. I would have done a goddamn backflip to get to the movie theater to go see this film. The shame is that they released this movie about 10 or 12 years too late for my young ass, because I wasn't so young anymore. But there was a period of time in the 1990s, the mid to late 90s, when Jackie Chan, Jet Li, these were like the dudes. And if a Jackie Chan or a Jet Li movie came out, I was at the theater to go see those. Like day one, I would be there when the theater opened. I had midnight Thursday night, back when that was like relevant, and they still did that. I'd show up midnight Thursday night. I didn't care if I was tired Friday morning. And the idea of Jackie Chan and Jet Li being in a movie together, that would have activated my nipples so hard. I would have been beside myself with ecstasy. I would have been speaking in tongues and shit like that. So I really feel like The Forbidden Kingdom really ought to be something that's like way, way, way up my alley. So we're gonna check it out. It's a complete and total blind buy, I guess. Blind gift. It was a gift. So I was also gifted another. This is not birthday related. I don't believe Brad knew that it was my birthday. My homeboy Brad at 4K Tent Revival. Please go check him out. Although he doesn't need my help. He doesn't need me to tell you to go subscribe to his YouTube. But at 4K Tent Revival, my man's Brad sent me a copy of a film called The Standoff at Sparrow Creek. And I gotta say, this is a very matte slipcover. I was very happy to see that it had a slipcover. He had asked me via text, we were going back and forth on a DM, he had asked me if I had seen this film, and I said, no, I've never even heard of it. And so he decided to send me a copy, which I very much appreciate. And I was pleased to see slipcover. That's always nice to see a slipcover there. You hear that cardboard? Listen to the weight of that. Is my microphone picking that up properly? Just listen to my hand gliding over that. This is a hefty cardstock, and it has a very matte look. You could probably tell that it has it's not very glossy at all. It's not glossy, so it has that matte kind of look and feel in the hands, but the lettering here has this just very, very tasteful embossing here, where this lettering is raised up, which I did not expect, but it's very nice. It's like every time I pretend like I can read Braille, and I start running my hands over Braille, and I just feel like I am so worldly. and scholarly and educated. I can't read Braille for shit, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm looking forward to watching Standoff at Sparrow Creek. I was going to watch it before now, but then he made me aware that the film takes place in November, and therefore I should not watch the film in September. And so I am scheduling a post-Halloween viewing of the Standoff at Sparrow Creek, and I will proceed with my thoughts in one of the videos where I talk about the shit that I watched last week. I'll tell you guys all about the Standoff at Sparrow Creek and whether or not you should go out and get a hold of this thing while you can still get that beautiful, that heavy, kind of thick cardstock slipcover. Also, fairly early in the month, I got a duo of films that had been released by Scream Factory. And really, I just wanted to get my hands on these while the slipcovers were still abundant and available. And these only cost $27 each at Bull Moose, so it's not like they broke the bank either for two 4Ks. I, of course, got Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. Had to get them while I could still get the slips, of course. You can't be buying these things. I didn't wait for years, avoiding those overpriced Blu-rays with slipcovers just to miss out on the slipcover of the 4K, I told myself. So had to get the slipcovers for these. You will notice they're the fairly basic Scream Factory slipcovers. There's no spot glossing. There's no embossing on the lettering. They're not quite that heavy cardstock of the Standoff at Sparrow Creek, and yet we are sick people, us collectors of Blu-rays. We are ill and sick individuals. I can't wait too long. I need the piece of cardboard that goes on the outside of the Blu-ray case. I am a little disappointed that Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 were released on 4K only. Of course, Sandpiper has the Blu-ray rights, so it is one of those rare occasions where Scream Factory is only giving us the 4K, and they're not giving us a Blu-ray disc. I think that also contributed to the lower price point, so it's a fair trade-off. At least Scream Factory is being fair with their pricing. They're not asking $35 for Sleepaway Camp 2, just like they would for the Stepfather 4K, which came with a Blu-ray disc of the film as well. So I appreciate that. I also assume that Sleepaway Camp 1 on 4K, the 4K rights for Sleepaway Camp Part 1 lie with some other boutique Blu-ray publisher. Otherwise, I imagine that Scream Factory would have put all three out at the same time. They wouldn't be holding Part 1 back and then release Part 2 and 3. That makes really no sense whatsoever. So the only sensible conclusion I can draw is that Sleepaway Camp 1 will be released later on by somebody else on 4K. Perhaps Arrow. It's a little annoying because I won't, I group my films by boutique. So Sleepaway Camp 1 is going to be over here with the Arrow or whomever, and then Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 on 4K are going to be on a different shelf altogether with the Scream. And I know, look, this is like white people problems, right? I am a certified cracker based on this being something that upsets me, but I'd kind of like to have all three next to each other in consistent packaging with like the same label and everything like that. So, it's just one of those things. Maybe somebody like Blockbuster box sets, somebody like I'm not saying Blockbuster box sets, but somebody like Blockbuster box sets, Brian, Last Movie Standing, something like that could put together a small box that we could slide the three of them into at some point in the future when we know what's up with Part 1. Part 2 and 3 are enough of like a different beast. I mean, if you've seen the 3 Sleepaway Camps, and you're here watching this video, so I'm assuming you have seen all 3 Sleepaway Camps, Part 1 is a very different beast than Part 2 and 3. Parts 2 and 3 came much later. 8 years, maybe even 9 years later than Part 1, and by that time it was the very late 80s. It was more fashionable to be kind of meta and self-referential and tongue-in-cheek because that's kind of what was going on in horror and slasher films at the time, largely in part to Freddy Krueger's success with the MTV generation and the Nightmare on Elm Street films being a little bit more of that sort of meta, tongue-in-cheek kind of self-referential type of horror films. I think Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 really just kind of jettisoned the ideas from Part 1. And so they're very different films, even though technically they're sequels. They were made by different filmmakers, so I'm trying not to let it bother me. That's the long story. Long story short, I'm trying not to let it bug me, because I definitely view parts 2 and 3 as like they're their own beast, and part 1 is very much a different thing. Different actors, different filmmakers. I mean, really everything is different about them, and they're almost more parodies. Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, where part 1, I think, you know, was a more like a straight slasher. Anyway, I went to Bull Moose. Bull Moose had a couple of things on sale, one of which was Kino's release is a Kino Cult. It's part of their Kino Cult line, and it is Underworld, Clive Barker's mid-'80s film. And this one is a blind buy as well. I got this because it was $18 for a 4K. And it's clearly in very good condition. It was very lovingly pre-owned. And so they made me an offer I really couldn't refuse. It was inexpensive enough that, you know, I'll buy anything from the 80s if it's $18 on 4K. So I picked up Underworld. I know very little about it, but I'm looking forward to it as being something that's very, you know, stylistically of the decade. I'm really hoping that it doesn't disappoint in that regard. And I've seen other Clive Barker films, so I'm curious enough about the rest of his work. You know, I think Nightbreed was probably my introduction to Clive Barker many years ago. And so Underworld I'll be checking out hopefully very soon. I'm not sure if I'll slot that into an October viewing slot or not, because I don't know how well it fits in with like October, but I might check it out after Halloween. I might put that into the November rotation. Another film I definitely will not be checking out in October is Sabrina. This is the original 1954 Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart version of Sabrina. Classic, absolute classic. Another one that I really wanted to get while the slipcover was still available for this 4K. And you see that's got that black case in it, man. Once you go black, you don't go back, y'all. You don't want it any other way. You don't want no Caucasian case. That Caucasian case is Blu-ray. Black case is 4K. Once you go black, you don't go back. And that's actually something that Audrey Hepburn used to say. I don't know if you guys know that, but that is something that Audrey Hepburn used to say. So Sabrina, of course, classic film of the 1950s. It's not really part of that golden era of Hollywood, golden age of Hollywood. It's more like that silver age. But you know, Bogey's still alive. I think Bogey died. He passed away of cancer, I want to say maybe the next year. I don't think he made it through the 50s. I'm going just off the top of my head. I'm not using the internet, even though I have a laptop right there. I don't feel like leaning forward to look at the screen. I believe he died mid-50s. You know, I want to say 55, 56. If he died the same year Sabrina came out, I don't think I'd be terribly surprised there either. It's wild that he would be making a movie like that when he's as ill as he was, unless the cancer moved really fast. I don't know. You know, back then, they were like smoking, eating red meat all day long. Me, on the other hand, perfectly healthy. I need a liver. Does anybody have, let's DM me if you're willing to donate some liver tissue. We'll see if we're compatible. Otherwise, I don't smoke, so that's good. So I got Sabrina because Barnes & Noble is having a Kino Lorber sale. I believe that sale is ongoing as I record this, but 50% off. I got Sabrina for $22. That's really hard to argue with. It's very hard to argue with that. I also got, while I was there, Xanadu for $22 as well, the 4K of Xanadu. See that? That case is black, dog. Shit, yeah, I like it. Xanadu is, yeah, it's a movie. I mean, I like it, but I like a lot of weird stuff. So Xanadu, look at that. Olivia Newton-John, R.I.P. I mean, isn't that just an angel? Look at that. Another one, just cut down in her prime, taken too young, also passed away from cancer. She wasn't young. She wasn't 30. She was, I believe, 60, somewhere between 60 and 65. So, I mean, she's not a spring chicken, but, you know, in this day and age, 60 is awful young to be passing away. And also, the soundtrack of this absolutely slaps. Get all the way the out if you don't love this soundtrack. We're talking about legends here. We're talking about not only Olivia Newton-John, who has the voice of an angel, obviously, as I've already established, but we're talking about Electric Light Orchestra, okay? So we're talking about ELO, Jeff Lynne of ELO. This guy's a legend. He was in the Traveling Wilburys with fucking George Harrison. So we're talking about all of the talent of ELO. Jeff Lynne and ELO writing songs, Olivia Newton-John belting them out, ELO obviously playing all the music. It is a supergroup. It is a supergroup as far as I'm concerned. You take Olivia Newton-John, you add her to ELO, and you have some really fucking incredible soundtrack here. Xanadu, of course, the title song, incredible, incredible song. I can listen to it all day long. It's so bright, it's so poppy. It is exactly what we needed in 1980. This movie, 1980, is exactly what the world needed. And it was a good prediction of kind of what 1980s pop was going to be and what it was going to represent. And then also the track Magic. Oh my God, that's such a good track as well. So honestly, you got to pick up Xanadu for the music alone. I will play that soundtrack. I got the soundtrack on vinyl upstairs, and I will play that soundtrack every damn night.
Every damn night.
Every damn night. I do love Xanadu quite a bit, even though I kind of admit, not for everybody, but it is for me. And I'll be sleeping with Xanadu on my pillow tonight. I also picked up The Company of Wolves. This one was another one, 4K, at Bull Moose that I got gently used. As you can see, it's in perfect condition. I got it gently used for 18 bucks, and how are you going to argue with that? How are you going to tell me that I should not have bought this for $18, gently pre-owned? It's a no-brainer for me. This one I may end up watching this month. Here in October, this is, it's sort of like a riff on fairy tales, kind of starts with like a Little Red Riding Hood premise, but it might be freaky enough with like the werewolf and stuff like that to consider in the month of October. So stay tuned. I might watch A Company of Wolves and then talk about it later on in some future video. All right, we're getting down to just the last couple, okay? I did okay this month. In honor of Halloween, I bought a DVD. You guys remember the sign language for DVD? That's sign language for DVD. I bought a DVD. And I bought a DVD for the only reason that I would ever consider buying a DVD, and it is because the Blu-ray is not available. It doesn't exist. There's another universe. There's some parallel world, some alternate universe that this is coming out on a 4K tomorrow, but that is not our universe. And that is the Halloween Tree. So right now, DVD is the only way to obtain this on home media. I mean, there might be a Laserdisc, but I don't have a Laserdisc player, nor a television that I could hook a Laserdisc player up to. So DVD it is, because I can pop this in my UB820 and it will play. So I picked up this DVD. The added benefit of DVD is that this was $7, which strikes me as like, that was kind of pricey for a DVD, but you can see it's one of these like late era DVDs where it like really doesn't come with anything extra. Those like early era DVDs, the 2003 DVDs, 2004 DVDs, they used to come with, they'd come with a couple pages right here that had all the chapters on it, but it would also have maybe a page or two with writing on the movie. This was just when they were just authoring discs and throwing them in black cases and getting them out the door, but you gotta appreciate that the DVD case is black as well. I feel like we've come full circle with 4K having black cases. So the Halloween Tree I picked up, this is a, 1990, 1991. This came out when I was relatively young. I was still a child, and I haven't seen it in so damn long. I was reminded of it because I was chatting Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is Ray Bradbury, or based off of a Ray Bradbury work, and so is the Halloween Tree. And with this being animated, I thought, well, maybe I'll show it to my kids this Halloween. Maybe they'll get into it. And it's animated by Hanna-Barbera, so, classic legends there. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what my kids think about it. If I wind up watching it with my kids, I'll come back here and tell you what I thought. I'll tell you what they thought. I'll give you their review. Maybe you show it to your kids. Also, In September, I feel like everybody was receiving these. I feel like if you have not got your copy of Night of the Living Dead remake from 1990 on a 4K Steelbook, what are you even doing with your life? What are you even doing with your life? Are you trying not to be cool? So, just like everybody else, I received Night of the Living Dead 1990. I kind of feel like the Freddy Krueger Steelbook box set has really stolen the thunder of Night of the Living Dead, because this shipped, I don't know, I've had this for about a week or so, 8 days maybe, 9 days. I've had this for a short period of time, obviously not long enough to unwrap it and watch it. As you can see, it's still wrapped, although this is most certainly going to make my Halloween viewing this month, in the month of October. I will most certainly be watching this quite soon and reporting back to you with what I think. It's been, I don't know, a year or 2 years. I think I watched this either last Halloween or the Halloween before. Night of the Living Dead 1990 is the very first zombie film I ever saw. I remember watching it on HBO. It had come to HBO, and I remember watching it on HBO when it was still relatively new, so it must have been, 1991 maybe 1992. It was the very early 90s, and I was young. I mean, I remember I must have been somewhere in that 10 to 12 age range, and I remember watching it late at night after everyone had gone to sleep. My brothers were too young to watch it with me, although my parents agreed to let me watch it. They told me, hey, you got to watch it by yourself, which means you also got to watch it down in the basement by yourself. And I think that experience at like 11 years old or so was very formative and very beneficial. In fact, I was scared. I shit my pants, but it was like a good pants shitting. It was like formative, developmental, and also maybe it got me started on a kink. You never know. So I'm looking forward to revisiting that. I think I've watched it, several times, a handful of times since that first fateful viewing, the first time I'd ever really sat through a whole zombie film. And so I'm looking forward to rewatching that with nostalgic eyes. Now, for the last couple of films I got a couple of special editions here. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit blacker. Actually, I've got a special edition box set of the Dandadan, first season of Dandadan here in this box set. I have seen maybe 2 episodes of this, so I haven't watched it yet, except for the 2 episodes I saw on Netflix. I am a tremendous fan of the manga, however, and I'm not a big anime or manga guy. I would say I don't read a lot of manga. I don't know. At some point, I just picked up Dandadan and just thought, I'll give this a read online for my $2 monthly subscription to Shonen Jump on the Viz website. And it was just wild enough. Like, Dandadan is just batshit crazy enough that I got sucked in, and I really appreciated how just insane and relentless the story is. It just feels like it's all gas, no brakes. It's just pedal to the floor. Every single issue is just constant insanity. And it reminded me a lot of a manga and anime that I like very much, a classic from the 70s and 80s, Urusei Yatsura. And that's one that I love for how chaotic and energetic and just wild it is, almost nihilistically wild. And I love Urusei Yatsura. I've got all of the anime. I've got all of the manga. And so Dandadan almost feels like it takes a page from that book, and it's just so wild. And you've got all of these crazy characters from both folklore and like yokai, like horror, like ghosts and paranormal, but then you've also got aliens involved. And it's, I mean, for somebody who's a conspiracy theorist like me, Creatures of the Night, check that podcast out. Dandadan was just like, it's everything I needed. So I got the box set that comes in a rigid box slipcase, which is, very nice. I like that. And I'm looking forward to checking out the rest of those episodes. And then finally, for the last thing that I want to show you, the last thing that I got this month, I got this the very last day of September, because this was released on September 30th. It was the last day of September, the day that this got released. And that is Creepshow Part 2, 4K. Obviously, I haven't opened it. It's only been 48 hours since I picked this up. Bull Moose was running this on sale for $35. I proceeded to use I have a Bull Moose like membership. Being the bishop of Bull Moose has its perks, is what I'm trying to say. So I had, got 50% off. I'll show you, there's the receipt. That's the receipt. I paid with cash, so there's no personal information on this receipt. It's okay for me to show the whole internet. This is my receipt. You can see that I paid $18. After tax, 18 and a little bit of change, because I got this for 50% off the $35 price. I went in while this was on sale for $35 instead of $40. It's normally $40, but if you buy things the first week at Bull Moose, sometimes you save a little bit. And I got 50% off the $35 price, so it was $17.50 before tax. And I gotta say, people complain about how much physical media costs, but look at this. I got a brand new, unopened, unused Arrow Video chunky box set of a 4K for Creepshow 2. I got no complaints about that, guys. That's everything I bought in the month of September, or was gifted in the case of, it's my birthday. And so obviously I told people, just buy me movies. Like, don't fuck around with. I don't need socks. I don't need a toothbrush. I don't need deodorant. I get all that shit. I got deodorant anyway. And I'm like, come on, y'all. I got deodorant. Don't give somebody deodorant as a gift unless they stink. If you stink, you get deodorant as a gift. And that's a subtle way of saying, stop stinking, motherfucker. But if I don't stink, why are you giving me more deodorant? I've got deodorant as evidenced by the fact that I don't stink. I apply deodorant after I bathe. Whatever. Anyway, could have bought me half a movie for that stick of deodorant, but whatever. I'm not here to complain. Actually, that's a lie. I am here to complain. I'm very much here to complain. If I didn't like complaining, I'm not sure I would have a YouTube channel. So I take that back. I didn't mean to lie to you. I'm sorry. So it looks like I ended the month at 16 titles. That's like one movie every other day, plus one to grow on. So I'm back to the drawing board. I was a very poor Buddhist. I was a shabby, not good Buddhist in the month of September. And I'm sorry. I beg your forgiveness. And I would like to pledge that October will be better, but I'm not sure that it will. Tron and Tron Legacy Steelbooks just arrived today, so the cycle begins again. Anyway, I'm going to drink the rest of this thing for these fools right here, these patrons. Thank you. I love you. Hey, welcome to the club. Groot, I got to say, welcome, Groot. Thank you for joining. Groot joined a week or two ago, pretty recent, but thank you, Groot. You the best. And Phil, my boy, thank you. This one's for you guys. Let me just chug the rest of this warm beer in honor of you fine people up here. If you ain't in this list, get right. You know what to do. I love you. Thank you for watching the video. Catch you on the flippy dippy, y'all. Let me drink this for these patrons. Yeah.